about it, volunteers, but I didn't come out. Okay. So what I'm going to have these two do is they're just going to go into their deep squat. And I'm just going to go and give them a little nudge. This is kind of like an experiment. We're going to see what happens. Okay, go ahead. It's here. Okay. Okay, I'll go here first. Okay, so if I give her a little nudge, she looks like it, especially if I nudged her from the front, because I just evaluated her weakness here, okay? If I nudged her from the front, she's going to tip over. Okay? This guy, he looks pretty good. I'll just see what happens. Okay, now what if I give him a nudge from the front? Yeah. Okay, so go ahead, stand up, thank you. So he looks pretty stable, right? I mean, there's probably a lot of things he can do from that position, and not have any troubles with it. Thank you guys. You guys can go sit down. Yeah, we love people who are willing to come out and show us some demonstrations and things like that. So the reason we did this is to demonstrate kind of a point, and that is that when we have mobility, okay, mobility leads to stability. And when we get a person in a stable position, they have more potential to develop some strength. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about flexibility and mobility. Let's maybe just by show of hands, just when you think of something, what are some things we know about flexibility? When we do it, why we do it, how, when we don't do it, anything about flexibility? Okay, improves range of motion. Yeah. Okay, so passive versus mobility, which is more active. Okay, anything else? What about when do we generally stretch? After, mostly after a workout. Okay, when the muscles are warm, we stretch to improve range of motion. Okay, so what if, what if you have someone who comes into the weight room and you're going to have to do something like an overhead press, all right? And when they put their arms up, they're kind of up here. Probably not the best position, right? So if we could get them, let's say I told you that I could take that person in and say maybe 5 to 10 minutes, get them to the point where they could get into this position by doing some stretching. Do you think that would maybe be a good case for doing a little stretching before the workout? So we can get them into a position of good stability, in a good stable position, so that then they can do things with the proper technique. Maybe a good case? So we're going to do a demonstration of PNF stretching, and Steve's going to talk a little bit about that.
This concept that she was just talking about a few minutes ago, this idea about getting somebody stretched before the workout. I was going to get them warm first, and then we're going to stretch them. But I was doing a clinic about a year and a half ago, and we were demonstrating some of the things that we were going to be showing you here today. And that very position, it was actually when you dropped in an overhead squat. And we were demonstrating this. And she's got good flexibility and great mobility. But we had some people that they're kind of on here. And we come out of that. And we did some PNF stretching with them for just a minute or two, just to kind of talk about the idea. And they dropped down, they hit a position almost identical to that within just a couple of minutes. And the question I have is a little bit more rhetorical, but we talk about PNF stretching. We're going to go ahead and demonstrate it right now. Go ahead, yeah, head that way. It's not anything that we don't probably already know if we've been through exercise science classes or whatever. But the question that I'm going to ask is, how often are we really doing it, as opposed to just doing a typical static stretch? And now her results, the magnitude of her results are probably going to be typical, but the principle is going to be the same for everybody. So I'm going to bring her up here, and she's going to tell me when she gets to that point where it's about right there. And so I'm going to hold her in this stretch for, different sources say different things, maybe anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. And there's actually a few different ways to do it, but in this case I'm just going to have her contract against me. And so why don't you go ahead and contract pretty hard against me right now, and I'll have her do that for maybe up to 10 seconds. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be that long. And now I'm going to have her relax practice, but I'm actually going to have her, okay, go ahead. I'm going to bring it in. I'll bring that leg up even a little further if you can. Is that about where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay. The results, again, that magnitude results aren't going to be typical, but I was actually really surprised in that clinic we did where we had those two people out there. One of the stretches is going to show you for the shoulders and how quickly they were able to actually get into that position. And that was a reminder for me, and typically, I don't know how many of us are actively doing stretching before a workout, and what you can see in improvements in just a pretty short period of time. It's one of those forgotten principles that in my mind I was like, geez, and really noticed my stretching. Okay, so just as a reminder, these are the two lifts that we're going to be focusing on, the snatch and the clean and jerk, and we're going to go ahead and have Rachel demonstrate each of these. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify the positions that mobility becomes an important factor. So we'll have her go ahead and start out with a snatch first. I'm going to spot her back here because we got here, we realized we didn't bring the clips. And it'll wobble probably a little bit when she catches it, so we just want to keep her safe. So as she gets down in there, that's certainly one of the first positions where we're going to need mobility. Okay, why don't you go ahead and hit it. Comes up, drops down, catches the weight, and drags it back up. Okay, try to sit her down. So the first position is going to be in that bottom position. What are we going to see if the person doesn't have proper mobility in that bottom position? What's it going to look like?
Round it back.
Round it back. Positions of the shins. Okay, shoulders probably in front of the bar.
Ankles.
Okay, yep. Okay, yeah, we've seen people that squat like this, huh? Okay, so, okay, now let's go ahead and see clean and jerk. Yeah, we'll probably put a little more on, get a little easier with that, a little more weight. And again, we're going to be looking at a couple of, there's going to be three positions here. So that one, the first one was that starting position for the snatch, and then it was going to be that overhead squat position, was that second position where mobility becomes a factor in performance. Oh, okay.
Okay, you guys, so you watch the videos where those guys are like they're world-class athletes and they're lifting this really heavy weight, right? They're doing the snatch with the clean and jerk, and it's really inspirational, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. So here's the great thing about today. So this, watching me lift, is inspirational in a different way, totally different. Because you look at me, and I think every one of you out there is saying, man, if she can do it, I can probably do it too, right?
Yeah. 4 kids pushing 50 years old.
50?
Whoa. Okay. Closer to 50 than you are 20.
Okay. So that's where the inspiration comes here. You guys can look at me and say, if she can do that, then I can do it too. So.
Okay, so when she goes here for clean and jerk, we're going to be looking for three positions again. The first one's going to be the starting position. The second one is going to be that catch in that front squat. And then the third position is going to be the finish, the overhead position with the shoulders in that jerk. Okay, and see where the elbows are on that. Recovers. Hits her jerk. Okay.
No big deal.
She started Olympic weightlifting really about 2 years ago, I guess it was.
Yeah.
After, like I said, raising children and all those other things. So, you want to go ahead and talk to them a little bit about Olympic squat? We don't need this right now, do we?
Okay, so what you guys are going to hopefully go away with today is really a couple of things. So we're going to teach you a method we use to, first of all, assess a person's mobility to see if they're ready to start learning the Olympic lifts. Okay? So first, assessments. And then the second thing is some interventions that you can do, and you can take 5 or 10 minutes, do some of these things, and we'll do some examples where we'll show what we can do in that time with someone's mobility. Okay? So the first one we're going to do is can I have one of the handouts? Okay.
Who else needs one? This is for you to take to teach and review these.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go through on the squats, so front squat, and we're going to look at the bottom position. So we'll kind of do the positions we need to assess are the start position for each of the lifts and the receiving position for each of the lifts, okay? So if someone can't get into a good start position, they shouldn't be pulling from the floor, right? Because they're pulling from a poor position, but bad for the spine, bad for hips, other things like that. So if we'll take a look at the front squat. Are you doing it, or is someone? Should I have someone else?
Yeah, let's get, grab one of these TAs.
Okay, one of you guys want to come and show the front squat position. So the front squat position being the receiving position for the clean, right? So we're assessing the receiving position for the clean.
Travis has just been voluntold. That's the way we work over there in Rexburg.
Actually, really true.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take a look at both his upper body position and his lower body position, but we'll do the interventions for the upper body when we do some of the others with the upper body. So these are the things we're looking for if you look on your handout. Okay, we'll get him down in there. Now we have to go through it pretty quick or he's going to get tired because Travis, I don't know. Okay, so, okay, so as soon as he gets down to that position, look at your handout and we'll see what we're looking for, okay?
And it's important that when they do this, we're assessing them in the bottom position, not as he's squatting. So that's why we made that distinction.
I just want you to get into a front squat, however you
The
have.
bottom, there you go.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
good.
I have to clean it to get it up there, but that's okay. You can just lift it. All right, down you go. Okay, so let's look at his torso. How's his torso? Specifically, we're looking at the spine, right? We want to keep the spine in the neutral position. Okay. Okay, back of the thighs are touching the calves. Now, once again, if we've established if he squats low, but his spine is not in a neutral position, he shouldn't be squatting that low, right? So we're looking at the spine. We're looking at the back of the thighs being able to touch the calves. His entire foot should be in contact with the floor. It looks pretty good there. And the toes, generally speaking, should be slightly out up to 25 degrees. What happens if we have more of a turnout is we have a tendency to have this valgus collapse where the knees will come in. And so, everyone's squat will be a little bit different depending on their makeup, but I think we want to try to get the toes as straightforward as we can to avoid that, and certainly we want to watch for the knees coming in. Okay? Now you doing good?
Yep.
Okay, restful?
I know, I'm really resting.
Okay. So we'll look at his upper body, but once again, we won't do the interventions for the upper body until we do the overhead squat. So we're looking up here for the elbows to be level with, or close to level with the shoulders. Okay, so preferably when the bar is still in the hand.
There you go.
Unless you're going to catch your clean that way. Okay? Okay, and then the bar, a lot of you'll see when they catch it that the bar will kind of slide down to the fingers a little bit, which is okay, but we're more stable if we have it at least the bar kind of as close to being in the palm as possible. Okay, and then the bar will be in contact with the shoulder. So that's what we're looking for an indication of someone. If someone can get down into that position and everything looks good, then you know that they have the mobility that's required to catch that in a deep squat. So we would give them a pass, okay? If they don't, then we can take a look at some of the things that maybe we're seeing that are going wrong, and then we would identify some of the tight target areas, and we have the functional stretches we would do along with that. Okay?
So what we're going to do now is let's have you guys. Now we've got some weighted PVC bars that will make it a little bit more practical, get your elbows up. But let's go ahead and get you in groups of 2 or 3, and we're going to have you go out and get in these positions and work on the assessment for the lower body. And go ahead.
Remember, we're assessing position, not movement. So we're not having people do front squats. We're going to get them down into that position just like we did with Travis, and have them stay there where we kind of walk around and see how it is.
Okay, so go ahead and grab some key.
Ankle mobility. Okay. What else?
Hips.
Elbows. Hips, what?
Head mobility.
Okay. Okay, where's my tight ankle guy? Okay, I need to preface by saying that this guy, he can dunk a basketball, okay? So I just felt like maybe I was led to believe that I should build him up first. So he's going to show us his squat here. I'll hold on to this for you. Okay, two ankle people. Go ahead and just squat.
Oh, not with the bar.
You don't need the bar.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I'm just curious. Why don't you come over and stick your heels up on that plate, and then let's look at the squat again. He looks okay, so they look a little more stable in that position. And I'm not saying that they should squat with their heels up. Go ahead and stand up. I'm not saying they should squat with their heels up, but it's a good assessment tool to kind of see, okay, I'm seeing something kind of funny in the squat. What happens if I take the ankle mobility out of the picture? And so you can have them squat with their heels up there. And if that kind of fixes, a lot of times you'll kind of see that will fix a lot of the problems that you're seeing. And we've identified it's likely ankle mobility. And so,
Question.
yes.
So is that good to have our athletes do that so they can get more mobility, or do we not have them do something like that where their heels come up a little bit?
Well, this is my personal opinion. I think it's good as an assessment tool, but I think we want to address the problem. So we want to improve their ankle mobility. Now, if we have them always squatting with their heels up, then yeah, they're more stable, but we're not really fixing the problem. So, is that good? Does anyone have it?
It's maybe not an either or as well. It might be a both and. So in other words, to keep them stable and to take some of the load off their lower back, you may work mobility, and have some low blocks and let them do some squat there. But we're going to find that as we work on some of these mobility activities, that the mobility may come much quicker than what we've expected. And that was a big thing that kind of surprised me with this. So we're not talking about something that's going to be months in the workings here. We're talking about something that might be weeks in the works. And so, it's maybe a little bit about work mobility and giving them an opportunity to squat on some blocks. If the block's real high, certainly not, but yeah.
And you can do something where you start with something a little bit higher and you're gradually lowering it as they improve, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was just one of the issues we chose to kind of call out and show. But if you look on your sheet, you'll see the interventions for the lower body portion of the squat. And we'll just show you these stretches. And these are a few of many other stretches that maybe you guys have found that are really effective. But these are ones that we found from a variety of sources. And we'll take you through these ones and then give you a chance to kind of practice them as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have, the first one is the squat stretch. And we would set this up in a weight room by using a squat rack and setting the pegs at a height where if you had a bar under the pegs and you were...
Hold it.
Okay.
And we'll let you go ahead and get in there. Let's get you underneath in your front squat in your jeans. Yeah, shows up for a hands-on clinic wearing like dress clothes. You call yourself BYU guy. Okay, so get yourself in your front squat position. Now, what we do at the gym over there is we actually set this underneath some pins, or they have to get underneath there, and then what they're going to
So you want to set it
Travis, come on here, Travis.
Oh,
okay, yeah, okay. That's it, huh?
Resistance, okay.
Resistance.
Without resistance.
Sure.
Okay, ready?
Well, okay, let's
All
not
right.
break it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go on down, bud. Okay, so what we would have him do, I'm going to help you. Squat down there. I'm going to help you up here, okay? So when we get pins in here, we give resistance. What they can do is they can push those elbows up, they can drive up into it against something that they can't move. And so you get a little bit of that PNF action right in the movement. And of course, as their mobility improves, then you can move those pins down to the point where they'd be catching it well.
I get lower now.
I bet you can, yeah. Okay.
Okay, the next one is the bar on the knee stretch. And for this one, We just take a bar. So once again, you're getting them down into a squat position. This really doesn't work very well for people who can't get, they have to be able to get low enough where they can, you know, hold the bar on the knees without rolling it off, okay? So they'll get down there, and just the kind of the resistance of the bar pushing and stretching the ankle area out is pretty effective. So bar on the knee. Another way you can do that is you can use a band and just leash it onto the squat rack and have them step inside so the band is around their hips.
Well, somebody tosses a band, and that might be hard to explain, which we probably should. We got a band around here somewhere over there. Okay, so what she's going to do is I would be this is tethered around some kind of rack or whatever. She's going to squat in there so that she has her position and kind of the same thing. Okay, so what this is doing is just taking kind of the balance demand out of it. And this probably works a little bit better for the people that don't have the balance to be able to put that, or the flexibility to put that bar on the knee, because they don't have to be balancing at the same time as they're trying to stretch. So this one is a really good
It's
alternative.
pretty perfect for those who, when they try to squat down, they tip over backwards. You know, so this way we have the band around them, and they're not tipping over backwards, and they can kind of work on that ankle mobility. Okay, the next one is I'm going to demonstrate.
Okay. Oh yes, the standing frog. Now this is one that I think that Kelly Starrett. How many of you guys are familiar with that guy? You've seen him on some of his, a lot of the stuff that we're grabbing are from Kelly Starrett, applying some of the principles that of the spine that we learned from Stuart McGill. Let's go ahead and put you over here though. And we kind of came up with our own name for it because I started looking at her and I thought, what is something that people are going to remember? And so as I look at her, just like in the face, his name's Frog. And then she drops down and the legs are, okay? So here's what you do. You're going to drop down in that position like you'd be in on your squat position. And the idea here is that you're going to try to keep your feet as much as possible on the rails in parallel. Okay? Because noticeably, if we externally rotate too much, we're going to lose some stability. We might have some valgus collapse, as she said. So that's what we call the standing frog. Now, that's one and she can do this as a PNF, so she's not just kind of praying in there. She is a yoga person, but anyway, what she's going to also do is she's going to drive her knees in against that resistance. And then what she'll do is she can push her elbows out again, kind of give a little bit of arch in that lower back, keep the torso nice and straight. And then the other one that we do that works actually really well is we call it the sleeping frog. And so she's just going to pitch forward there. And this one works especially well for the overhead squat when you've got issues with shoulder extensor. Yeah, and she told me actually that she used to sleep that way when she was a little kid. Now, I'm sure that most of you can get that flexibility, and that's exactly what we're looking for. But actually in this case, if she kind of rocked back up a little bit, hips up a little higher, well, yeah, you're so flexible, it doesn't. Okay, but we can also, some of you are gonna feel it here in this lower part of your back and here in the shoulder extensors. Okay, so standing frog and sleeping frog. And the next one is, this is one that Kelly Starrett shows. It's called the Olympic wall squat. So go ahead and flip around there. And do we have that band? Okay, so same kind of thing. She's gonna lay there on her back. You're gonna let gravity do some of the work here. And again, what she's really focusing on is she's keeping those knees wide. Feet are going to be as parallel as possible, and she's going to do as much with hip flexion as she can because she's trying to get that active mobility so when she's in the bottom position of a squat, that her torso can be more straight up and down. Now, if we want to add some resistance, I think this band is bigger. We'll try it though. She's going to go ahead and use this band here. Sometimes if you're a smaller, you'll get it.
Not with the black ones, though.
Yeah, the black ones that's where you need a helper. Okay, so go ahead and kind of bring those heels out just a little bit apart. Yeah, and then let gravity. Now, her flexibility is such, but some of us would just look at that and it gets painful. Okay, and there's your Olympic wall squat. And then the last one is a hip external rotation with flexion. So she's gonna turn. And we're going to come around the TAs, we call them TAs, but yeah, I guess you're kind of TAs today, aren't you? Teaching assistants, yeah. Here's the other one. So what we're working on is we've got this stretch here with external rotation.
And also, so pretend I'm against the wall. You can also do that on the wall. So you just bring this leg up here and stretch the internal rotation and also then the external rotation. So you can bring, this leg up and kind of move it around when you're up with your feet against the wall, or this way for the external rotation.
So why don't you go ahead and work on those for about 5 minutes, and then go ahead and get yourself, just really kind of put some stretching into it, a little PNF action, either with yourself or with a partner, and then get yourself back in your squat and see if you feel a little bit different in the bottom position of the squat. So let's look up here. We're going to move on. We're going to look now at some of the overhead work.
Okay, so the assessing the bottom position is the same, obviously, for the overhead and the front squat. So now we're going to look at the overhead position for the jerk or the military press position. So you'll just want to have someone grab a bar and put it overhead. Now, if you think about back to biomechanics a little bit, if he's forward here, okay, where's his center of mass is down the middle of his body, right? So if he moves, if he doesn't have the mobility to get his resistance directly over that, he's doing more work than he has to do if he's got the weight up here in front, right? So ideally, we want to get them back to a point where their arms are directly in line with or slightly behind the ear, and we want to have them be able to do that without having this happen. Right? So we want them to maintain neutral spine and be able to bring the arms back. Okay? So let's take a look at Steve here. How's his position? If you look at your paper on the military press assessment. No. He says it's bad. Okay? Okay, so what are the things we're looking for? List them off there.
Bar directly above or slightly behind shoulder.
Okay, so how does he look in that position? Not the best, huh? His hands are a little bit too far forward.
Yeah. Oh, I'm worse.
Okay, what else? What else are we looking for on there?
Elbows locked out.
The only one, elbows need to be straight, so we don't want to have them in, this position here. And we want to make sure when we cue them to bring their arms back, again, that they don't lose neutral spine, because sometimes if they don't have the shoulder mobility and they want to get their arms overhead, then they'll do that. Okay, so we're going to do, and a lot of the same things will apply to the overhead, the upper body position in the overhead squat. Okay, if you look at the indications on the overhead squat for the upper body or shoulder mobility there, what is it we're looking for? Same one, okay? And it says what?
Just bar overhead or slightly behind.
Okay, so we have the same thing here. If he's clear up here, then this resistance is pulling him forward, and he's got to fight against that. He's not going to be as strong as he will be if he can get that bar directly above the center of mass. So we see here again where increasing mobility will lead to a stronger, a heavier lift. Okay, so we have some things there. We want you to do a little bit of test and retest on this. So go ahead and find a spot on the wall. And you're just going to get up, your heels are a few inches away from the wall, get your back against the wall, and test your overhead position.
Now, make sure that remember, we don't want the spine to be arching out this way, okay? So, what you want to do is, in fact, you could probably have your feet out just a little bit off the wall. Yep. There you go. Okay. All right, straighten those elbows. Reach up, okay. Good. We had to put Chris in the last one. Okay, we're going to use Chris as a test retest in a little while.
Okay, before you move away from the wall, we're just going to do this one's kind of for fun too. So bring your elbows till they're in line with your shoulder, and we're going to do a little test on internal and external rotation. So just see how it feels for you to get your arms up flat, and then an internal rotation as well.
Here, shoulder up and forward right here like this. Okay, yeah. So how much can we get there?
Huh?
Okay, we're going to use you too. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. What's your name? Paul. Okay. Paul, let's get Paul and Chris right here. Let's take a look at where Paul and Chris's position are. And when we send you out to do these, we're going to have our TAs work with these guys and do some specific mobility work, and we'll take a look at it when we bring them back in. So Paul and Chris, so let's go ahead, that first one there, feet out off the wall, maybe about 4 or 5 inches. Okay, arms up overhead against the wall. Yeah, get your butt against the wall. There we go, straighten those arms, straighten them. Here, in, there we go. Okay, and here. Okay, now let's go ahead and get in this position, elbows against the wall, all the way up. Okay, so we're here and then bring them down. Okay, so, all right, that's our test. We're going to come back and do a little retest in a minute. Okay, so we're going to give you these interventions that we're going to send you out to work on. If you're following along with this, let's look on this one. It's an overhead squat. First one is one that I saw people doing actually in the last session. You'll be pretty familiar to. Their shoulder dislocates. So you'll take the bar ideally in your snatch position, but you might need to go a little bit wider. And what she's going to do is she's going to bring this thing up and all the way around. And then as she does that, just makes it look easy. And she'll bring her arms in a little bit with each successive one. Okay, so we've got kind of a active stretching, active passive, I guess. Okay, there's a shoulder dislocates. And then this one right here, you won't probably be able to do. It's one of my favorite ones, but it's a thoracic stretch. So let's bring Travis. Why don't we bring you out here?
Do you want me to grab
A roller?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can grab a roller. We'll also use Travis. Okay, come on out here, Trav. So Kelly Starrett calls this in his book. He calls this the keg stretch. He's got a keg, and over in Rexburg, nobody knows what a keg is. And so we'll sometimes do this over the part of a GHD, a glute ham developer. But Travis, you're going to be the bench for just a minute. If you've got somebody that's really tight, they're going to benefit from doing it over this roller. We're going to pretend that Travis is the bench or the round part of a GHD. Yeah, you remember the spin zone wrestling?
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, you do. Go ahead and get down there. There you go. Elbows down just a little bit. Yeah, get your elbows down. There. Perfect. Okay. Now go ahead and flip around. Not you. There. Turn on, Rachel. Okay. Yep. Keg stretch. Here we go. Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah. Well, I was a wrestling coach. We adapt. We don't have equipment. Make it out of people. So in this case right here, remember we have that overhead position and we had a hard time doing that. We can actually do this over a GHD or possibly even a bench, but a bench is a little harder. A person looks like it works really good actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her stretch out here and we're going to do a PNF action. And this was exactly in that clinic that I was showing before in Brazil where those 2 ladies, we had them doing this before they did that squat with their hands overhead. And after stretching them here in PNF for 3 or 4 minutes, they made major improvement. So she'll push against me pretty hard here. Their arms push up. Okay, and then back down. And then so you can do this as a PNF right here. Again, you can do it over a GHD, you can do it over a ball, like a stability ball in the gym. Or if you've got people that are tight enough, which would be Travis. Travis, let's go ahead and have you get on this roller here. Yeah, Travis likes this. But he's going to position this thing somewhere just near the inferior border of the scapula, and he's going to reach up over top. The same kind of a thing here, okay? And so if you see in Travis's case, this can provide actually a pretty good stretch for him. And the benefit here is we can kind of move it back and forth a little bit on there as he does that. Go ahead and give me a little PNF action. Push up, no, elbows straight, push up into me. There you go.
And you can also get a bar and have them hold it in their hands while they're just getting a little extra stretch that way too.
I
I'd have to get that one.
Gotta finish it, huh? Okay, those are a couple for the overhead squat. Now we take a look at that military or strict press. Shoulder dislocates again, which we just showed. And then this is another one that's just a gem. This is what we call rib mobilization with this lacrosse ball. So we're going to have Rachel light. Oh yeah, the TAs who've done this are just like loving it. Okay, go ahead and lay down on the floor.
I'm going to show where the ball's going to be.
Oh yeah, we're going to position this thing right between the medial border of the scapula and the spine here. So you don't want it on the spine, but you want it just kind of in that spot there. And what you'll do is you're actually going to position that, and it's going to hurt like crazy. But it was a physical therapist that taught us. We thought, well, shoot, they're doing it with people that ain't killing them. Okay, but you'll be surprised. It's pretty painful. But and you're going to find spots that are tight. And that's where you're going to position the ball. So we're going to have her lay down there. She'll position the ball. She'll find her tight spot. And now what she's going to do is we're going to just get some. Yep, she's going to from here, okay, up by the ear.
Their face muscles indicate where the spot is.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a bunch of lacrosse balls. Well, got more than that, right? Okay, yeah, you guys will love this one.
So you have to move that, just change your position. So you might start up kind of a little higher, do a few, move down a little lower. Oh gosh.
Found it. And then where it says internal and external rotation with the ball, what we're going to do is we're going to position this near the insertion of the rotator cuff muscles here. So the back part of the shoulder here, we're going to look at the area there of the lat and teres major, just kind of where that comes across. And again, she's going to find that spot, and what she'll do is she's going to work internal and external rotation then. And a person that's so there she's looking for it. And you can even use your partner here for this. And again, that's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get here. We'll find that spot and just kind of help get that wrist down. You notice everybody wants to bring their hand back like this. If you've had shoulder surgery, everything you're doing for the first few months is like this, and you can't. Okay? It's the same feeling. Okay? All right, and then the jerk stretch is a little tough because we really can't do that without the standards in here. You can basically what you can do is you can take the bar and you come up to like a squat rack or something, and what she'll do is she's gonna, if this is the rack, she's just gonna slide down and like almost like you're doing a push jerk position, and she'll walk herself closer and closer underneath that. We don't have a space to do that in here, but the band stretches we can do. So this one is going to help with the rack position for those of us that have a tough time getting the elbows up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and be the
An anchor low.
Yeah, anchor low first, okay. So I'm gonna anchor low here, she's gonna squat down in here, and
You want to turn your hand up and your elbow close to the head.
think about your receiving position, okay, on that. Okay, so we're not gonna be here, we're gonna be here. Palm up. Okay, and now go ahead from here. Through there, she's gonna rotate back through again here. And again, hand's gonna come up. And lean in. Now what she's getting a lot of work on the shoulder extensors there, lat, teres major. Okay.
And the options are limitless. You just go in there, wind up, pull back, and then you can stretch this direction, so you anchor low, medium, high, and just kind of get to the point where you feel the shoulder is being pulled just a little bit, and you can stretch any direction from there, wherever you're.
Yeah, kind of relax some of that. Let it kind of pull a little bit in the socket a little bit. It helps a lot. And then we've shown the thoracic stretch. So we've got some bands, we've got some balls. It seems like people are holding balls. So TAs, why don't you share those balls with people? And go ahead and get out and work on that. Go ahead and bring it on Straighten that elbow there, Chris. Okay, so you can kind of see, okay, a little bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into that kind of scarecrow position. Let's see what we've got for internal and external rotation. Compare one arm to the other.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you see that? So that was the right arm on you too, Paul? Can you get your, yeah, okay. Big time difference here, Chris. Okay, so here's the thing. As we said before, the results aren't always going to be typical to that or not always to that magnitude, but it's typical. So if you can bring somebody in, you get them warmed up, you know, through your typical warm-up routine, and then you spend some dedicated time stretching. If you move a person from being in this position here to this position here, now what you've done is you've given them a position that they can be stable in and they can be safe in. And they're going to be able to have better biomechanical advantage on their lifts. And you can do that within a workout. A few years ago, well, actually a long time ago now, when I was doing my doctorate about 20 years ago, we went up to the children's hospital and I saw these examples of the work that they've done with children. These children would sometimes have their feet just totally twisted in these contractor positions to the point where it looked osteopathic, like there was a bone that was deformed. And then they showed the before and after 6 months or 8 months of therapy, and you see the children walking again. And we just have issues with us because we're a little bit older, some of us, but you think if you dedicate a little bit, you get a little bit of a gain each day, and then once you're lifting under that kind of load, you get even a greater benefit because the bone tendon organ responds to every single repetition that's going on there. Okay, there's one other one that we missed. I should show that. Okay, this is one that Stuart McGill shows on a video that was actually pretty cool. What we call it Parker lat stretch. You can do this over a bench, but this one works really well for that rack position for the front squat. If you've got somebody that has kind of a tough time getting their elbows up, because we've got both shoulder lat teres major tightness, but we also have thoracic tightness in here. So what she's going to do is she's going to put her arms on my legs. I'm going to go ahead and keep her locked in here. I'm going to go ahead and give a press down this way here. And we can even do it as P and F. So she'll push up against me. She'll relax and we'll kind of push. And if I want, I can focus a little bit more on one side or on the other side. But you know, I guess this is a middle-aged woman here, right? She got good flexibility spine. Okay.
This, as far as the mobility.
Okay, what's next on there?
It's the last assessment, the start position.
Okay, all right, let's take a look at the start position then. So, what you'll notice is we're looking for the same things in the start position for the snatch and for the clean and jerk. And the big thing here is that if we've got a start position, this is one, I think they're all this way, but this is one in particular with the lower back. If we've got somebody that's got kind of a rounded lower back, it's certainly not optimized for them, but it also puts a lot of shear force on the intervertebral discs, and so we want to keep them safe. So, you guys look at your sheet and help me. Tell me what we're looking for here on this assessment. So let's go. We'll start with actually clean for this one. Okay. So what are we looking for? What's one of the indications of hip flexibility? Shins. Shins are supposed to be what? Nearly vertical. Now, what would they look like if she was a little bit tight? Go ahead. Yeah. Probably a little far forward. Maybe the heel's starting to come up a little bit, and shoulders would definitely be in front of the bar when we're in that position.
So you.
What's that?
I was going to say shoulders, elbows, and barbell. You want to make sure your stack is.
Yeah. Yep. Shoulders, elbows, and barbell. I like that. Okay. What are we looking for the lumbar position?
Neutral.
Neutral spine. Yep. And so what we've done is we've maintained a little bit of that slight lordosis in the lumbar curve, and then. What is this? We bring you along to demonstrate and you get out of the position. Simon did not say. Okay, and then the last one is the thoracic position is going to be in that neutral position. Now, in the interest of time, if you're assessing somebody, what's the position that you could assess first? And we're talking snatch and clean and jerk. Well, I mean this deadlift position, but if you went to the snatch position and she could get in the snatch position, would she automatically have it for the clean? Yeah, because this is going to be a lot more difficult to get into from that position. And then if you take a look at the functional stretches, then what we do is we bring a bar over, we set it up on some blocks or something, or some pulling stands, so once she's deadlifted up, she's got the flexibility start from that position anyway. And this descending deadlift is one where she's just going to do what we did actually from that top-down training we did in the last session. Go ahead and start. Yeah, she's just descending into that position. What we're looking for is we're looking for a position where this starts to fail. And just before we get to that point, we're going to hold her in a static stretch in that position. Okay? Bring her back up, and then we can do a stiff leg deadlift. Okay, same thing. Just out of curiosity, how far can you go? Yeah, that's almost as far as I can do. You keep training in one day. Okay? And then the other one would be that standing frog position again. That would give us that hip range of motion and flexibility. Okay, we decided we'd leave a little bit of time for questions. And so that's, we've done those other interventions. So what are some questions or some things you've seen or that you're maybe wondering about?
I'm just curious if these examples are going to be up online so we can prep for them later.
Well, okay, so you keep the sheets. We don't have like the videos, but what we did, okay, so we mentioned Kelly Starrett. If you want to go to Kelly Starrett, he's the one that's done this mobility WOD. And we've just gone and picked out some of the exercises. The guy does a phenomenal job of explaining this. So we've stolen all of this from these people. We're giving him credit for it. But what we're doing is we teach this class where we teach as part of the lab experience of it. We've got about 5 weeks of Olympic weightlifting, and this is what we take them through. And so we've developed this. This is the only way to do it. We've kind of this systematic flexibility routine that we're basing these off of. So everything that we see, his names for some of them are a little bit different. Olympic wall squat is the same. What are some of the other names that they use? But yeah, he does a phenomenal job with it. So.
Okay, so just as a note, so let's say you guys have an athlete or someone you're training who comes to you and you want to teach them the Olympic lifts. Let's say that they can't get into this start position without rounding their backs. What are your options with that particular athlete? Obviously, you want to identify the tight areas and work on them as part of their routine. But what are your options from that point? Are you just going to say, "Yeah, sorry, I can't teach it to you yet"? What are our options? So we assess start position and receiving position. So what might be some of our options?
How about you there right now? You
can restrict them to blocks where they
Yeah.
have better mobility.
Right. So you find the point where they can maintain that neutral spine and get into a good position with raising their start position. Okay. So then as their mobility improves, we lower the start position until they can lift from the floor again. Good. What about in the receiving position? What if they can't do a full front squat, for example? What are our options for that athlete? Yeah, you have them catch it in whatever squat they can. And we're watching for, mostly you want to make sure the elbows are high in that position, but we want to especially protect the spine. So we don't want them going any deeper in their squats, and they can go with a neutral spine. So you watch them, and the moment you see them lose that lumbar curvature, you say, okay, that's as far as you squat, while we work on some mobility, and over time they are able to squat deeper and deeper and deeper until they can, catch that in a full front squat. Same thing with the overhead squat. So we just teach them, whether maybe we have them squat with a bench or something that gives them some feedback as far as how low they should go before they're losing neutral spine. And then, we gradually just lower that position as their mobility improves. So we assess start position, receiving position, and then, if they're clear on all of those, then they've got the mobility required to do it all with a good technique, and we can start teaching from there. So.
Kenny just mentioned one of the things that we worked was that PVC bar stretch. Should we show that one real quick? For the this is one that we didn't spend a lot of time focusing on the front rack. We did some things with the bands. We did some things with internal and external rotation, which will help. Where's Travis? We need Travis again. Okay, Travis. Travis is the bench.
On the bench?
Yeah, same thing. Just like before. Sorry, Trav, you didn't bring a bench, so you got to be the bench.
That's all right.
Okay. So what we're going to do with her here is, again, these are just very specific functional stretches. Go ahead. Yeah, you need to, roll down. No, Trav, get on your elbows. There. Well, that was with all the sensitivity of a road mender. Okay. So what she's going to do is she's going to bring this in, and one of the things I can actually do first to work on wrist flexibility. You know, we've got some of those issues with this. I can actually just take this and rotate this way and this way. Let's bring those elbows in a little bit closer together and bring the hands out a little bit. There we go. Okay.
That's different.
It is. It's a horse, what we call back there, a horse of a different color, back in Oz.
We're doing this with a weighted bar?
Just PVC is fine, because we don't need to worry about forces going down this way. The torsional force is what we're looking at. Okay, and the other way to do it is she gets her, yep, and then bring it down here. Just gonna get that same stretch, and this is gonna give a really nice stretch here on the lats. And normally we do it on a bench, but Travis is just as good. So Kenny mentioned that. And
Slightly better quality.
so one of the keys to remember is that as you're working with these, you think about what are the positions that people are going to find themselves in, and what are the limits to that mobility that they have in those positions. And there's a lot of room for some creativity there, as long as you stick to the general principles of it. It's good to have them warmed up before you do it, and don't just slam them into a stretch. And as much as possible, incorporate that PNF. Instruct them about it, remind them about it, and then continue to do it yourself. It's made a big difference when we engage with the PNF stretching.
So once you get them, they're assessed and you've identified their tight areas, you get them warmed up, you just have 5 minutes and you can get them from a point where maybe they can't achieve that ideal position. But after 5 minutes of some dedicated work, you can get them into this good position, or down a little bit lower or into their V squat. So it's been pretty effective. Any other questions or comments?
Hey, Kenny has one more.
Okay, Kenny.
You guys will have seen this before. Kenny, do you want to explain it?
Oh, yeah.
Kenny will explain it. We're trying to help these kids learn to talk in front of groups. Okay, so give us your 30-second.
Okay, to help with your rack position, with your shoulders and with your elbows and with your wrist flexibility. This one, it's gonna choke you. Just get over it. Okay. Take a deep breath. So what you want to do is, this is another PNF stretch. You're gonna put your shoulders underneath the person's elbows. You're gonna grab onto the bar, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna push down, and you're gonna stand up. Okay. So it looks just like this. So I'm gonna come right here, and I'm gonna pull down on the bar while he's pushing up, and I'm gonna.
I had to, Kenny.
Or
I'm
I'm
sorry.
not. Okay. So this position, this PNF, so he's going to push down right here. Okay. So like we said, you want to hold it for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then he's going to slowly release. And I'm going to stand up just a little bit more until he feels. Okay, you can do it again. Push down. Okay, slowly release. And if you're not tall enough, like I'm not tall enough, you can have your person go ahead and try and squat down just a little bit.
Or you just stand on a box.
Or you can stand on a box.
Hey, I'm a bench.
Yeah. And that'll help with your mobility for your rack position as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a favorite, and it's obviously a real specific position because that's a really common issue is elbows being down. So.
Down.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you guys for all your participation today. It's actually been a lot of fun.